Stalin's rise to power 1922 to 1929. After Lenin's death in 1924, a collective leadership was formed under the Politburo, which was made up of an inner group of leaders: Zinoviev, Kamenev, Tomsky, Bukharin, Rykov, Stalin and Trotsky. Stalin's personality. Trotsky was the most likely successor of Lenin, as he had a leading role in the October Revolution and the Civil War. He was seen as Lenin's right-hand man. Stalin was seen as an administrator and a dull personality. Stalin, by other party members, was seen as a grey blur or comrade filling card. However, the party failed to see Stalin as he truly was, being ruthless and opportunistic. Power base in the party. Stalin had begun to lay foundations to his rise to power before Lenin's death. He gained key positions being Commissar for Nationalities, liaison officer between the Politburo, the Augburo and head of workers, and the Peasant Inspectorate. Stalin put himself into many key positions as possible, no matter how dull, as he knew he could spread his influence and gain support. Stalin became General Secretary of the Communist Party in 1924. He used this position to gather information, like bugging Lenin's home. This position also gave him power to make appointments within the party. He used this to ensure that people appointed to key positions were loyal to him. This was Stalin's form of patronage. Time went on and more people owed their jobs to him, and when it came to important votes he could rely on the support of his appointees. The position also gave him access to over 26,000 personal files of party members. He used this information against rivals as blackmail. Use of Lenin's enrollment 1923 to 25. Stalin's position was strengthened by the Lenin enrollment between 1923 and 1925. A drive to increase party membership among the industrial workers. Over 500,000 workers were recruited, doubling their membership. New members were largely poor, uneducated and politically inexperienced. Stalin was responsible for supervising this drive. He made sure to identify with the needs and demands of new members. He capitalized on his own workers' background in order to win support. Stalin had a workers' background. He was considered to be the man of the people, as Trotsky had a wealthy background. Lenin's funeral. Stalin improved his position within the party in 1924 by attaching himself to the legacy of Lenin, encouraging a cult of Lenin. Despite the wishes of Lenin and his widowed wife, Stalin arranged a public funeral and Lenin's body embalmed and put on public show. Stalin delivered the oration at Lenin's funeral whilst Trotsky did not attend. Many party members saw this as a sign of Stalin's loyalty to Lenin and Trotsky's lack of respect. This was a big mistake made by Trotsky, as Stalin was able to capitalize on this mistake and portray Trotsky as disloyal to Lenin, but also portray Stalin as the real right-hand man of Lenin. Using Lenin's will. Lenin's last will and testament in 1924. Stalin benefited from the fact that the members of the Politburo, including Trotsky, decided not to make Lenin's last will and testament go public. The document included Lenin's description of Stalin as too rude and recommended his removal from the position of General Secretary, but luckily for Stalin, it also said some negative things about other Politburo members, so it was in their interest to keep the testament a secret. This allowed Stalin to keep his position in the party. Cult of personality, also known as Cult of Lenin. Stalin constantly emphasized his closeness to Lenin. Stalin would cut out Trotsky in photos in which Lenin, Trotsky and Stalin appeared, to give the impression that Stalin was Lenin's closest friend. He memorized Lenin's speeches, so in the political debates he could undermine the arguments of opponents by quoting Lenin. This presented Stalin as Lenin's heir and upholder of his policies. It was seen as if you criticized Stalin, you were criticizing Lenin. Trotsky made criticisms of Lenin's policies. He completely misjudged the mood of the country that was devastated by Lenin's death. Trotsky's personality. Trotsky was unpopular within the party. He was Jewish, and this led to anti-Semitic prejudice, as Jews were mainly blamed for Russia's problems. He had a wealthy background and was arrogant and lost potential allies by his abrasive manner. Trotsky's high opinion of himself put people off him. He was a loner and did not see the urgency to build up a power base, and he was a Menshevik until 1917, which already led to suspicion, so his late conversion to Bolshevism was seen as a lack of commitment. He rarely attended party meetings and did not go out of his way to make allies, preferring to work as an individual rather than a team. He organized the Red Army during the Civil War, and some saw this as an indication that he might use force to gain power and try and take over. Jonathan Haslam, 2011. Trotsky made others nervous while Stalin put them at ease. Trotsky could not be bothered to attend meetings, even crucial important ones, whereas Stalin never missed one. Defeating the left. Disputes over party bureaucracy. 1924, Trotsky launched an attack on the growth of party bureaucracy, which was unpopular with the party. Stalin allied himself with Zinoviev and Kamenev to isolate Trotsky and were able to accuse Trotsky of factionalism, causing divisions within the party. Lenin spoke out against factionalism in 1921 in the On Party Unity document, which served to reinforce Stalin's closeness to Lenin. This was an attack on jobs within the party, which Stalin was willing to support. Disputes over NEP. 1926, Trotsky joined forces with Zinoviev and Kamenev to form the United Opposition, a grouping of the left of the party. Views of the left concerned the future of the NEP. When Lenin brought in NEP in 1921, he made clear that it was a temporary measure. The left saw NEP as a betrayal of the aims of the revolution, holding back the move to socialism. The right saw the NEP as the right policy for the circumstances that Russia was in. It was capitalist, but necessary at this point as it produced the amount of food that Russia needed at this stage. Stalin at this stage stayed neutral, on the fence. Disputes over future of the revolution. Trotsky was concerned about the issue of permanent revolution. He believed it was vital to spread world revolution, as without world revolution Russia would not survive. Stalin argued for socialism in one country. This called for the economic modernization of the Soviet Union, using its own industrial resources, which was strengthening the revolution at home in Russia, as it was more important. Stalin wanted to focus on building up Russia's economy without war, which was popular among the people as they were sick of war at this stage. Trotsky was trying to get into hostile actions abroad. United Opposition were defeated at the meeting of the Central Committee in 1926, and a year later were not even allowed to speak. They now had to work in secret. After 1926, the left were sidelined, and after being accused of factionalism, they were expelled from the Politburo. Zinoviev and Kamenev were allowed to stay in the party after renouncing their views. Trotsky refused to renounce his views and was forced into exile to Central Asia. Defeating the right. 1927-28, Stalin decided that the future of Russia lay in forced industrialization. He aimed to launch the first 5-year plan to stimulate the economy, setting targets for industrial output to be achieved in 5 years, which involved rapid growth. Stalin recently sat on the fence between the left and right, but as soon as he defeated the left, he took up the left and Trotsky's argument of industrialization. Disagreement directed over how and when this policy should take place. Bolshevik leaders agreed with industrialization for the consolidation of socialism, but were divided on how it would be achieved. To industrialize, more food would be needed to support the growth of urban and industrial workers. The left saw the use of force as the only way to make the peasants grow more food. The right preferred a policy in persuasion. Early 1928 proposals for the 5-year plan led to the emergence of right opposition group, arguing for the continuation of NEP and opposed the policy of rapid industrialization. The right leaders in the Politburo were Tomsky, Rykov, and Bukharin. Stalin saw the views of the right standing in the way of his policy of socialism in one country, threatening to slow down economic progress. Previous conflict with the left concerning NEP had Stalin on the fence. The left had been defeated, and Stalin saw the advantages of abandoning NEP. He used his power and influence in the party to ensure that the right was defeated and voted over policy decisions. 1929, members of the right opposition in the Politburo were identified by name and removed from their posts except for Rykov. He remained head of government until 1930. Stalin defeated the left and the right opposition groups within the party. Collective leadership at the time of Lenin's death was no more. Stalin had whittled away at the power and positions of his main rivals until by early 1929 he was in a dominant position.